Minnesota hometowns. What you can see are neat houses on orderly blocks. What you can't see is the pipeline underneath the streets in those hometowns, all 73,000 miles of it in Minnesota.
Pipelines are the safest mode of transportation for all of these products that we use. However, that doesn't mean that there aren't mechanical breakdowns, human error, that can cause accidents, and certainly they do, and they're big deals when it does happen, and sometimes very tragic.
Tragic, like the morning of July 1986 in Mounds View. A pipeline gas leak turned deadly, devastating an entire community. In response, lawmakers in 1987 created the Minnesota Office of Pipeline Safety, MNOPS for short.
We really feel that we add a lot to safety here in Minnesota. The pipeline operators want safety. We want safety.
20 state employees oversee the work of the private companies who pump gas, diesel, propane, and other material through pipelines in Minnesota. MNOPS checks the company's procedures and policies and does spot checks like this one to inspect a repair.
Right here we're looking to make sure that the meter's going to be intact and protecting the public.
And so we have the ability to look at everything they do. So even though we don't directly inspect every inch of pipeline, we have the ability to make sure that they have.
When MNOPS inspectors find problems with pipeline operations, they have 3 enforcement options under Minnesota law: a warning letter, a notice of probable violation, and the most severe enforcement tool, a hazardous facility order.
Enforcement happens whenever there's a complete breakdown of the system and the pipeline operators don't do what they're supposed to do.
While MNOPS will enforce when necessary, it much prefers education, and employees hold more than 80 damage prevention presentations every year.
Education is the most important thing we do because it can prevent a disaster from happening.
Education has helped reduce excavation-related damages in Minnesota. They have declined by more than 70% since 1994. Part of that success comes from the Gopher State 1 call. Anyone planning to excavate must notify Gopher State 1 call 48 hours in advance so the utilities can mark their underground lines.
They'll be marking that so that when you go about digging, you can see how close you are to those lines.
Part of the success also comes from MNOPS work inspecting not just pipelines contained within Minnesota, but those that pass through. MNOPS is recognized nationally for its good work, receiving 100% on a federal evaluation in 2011.
We kind of serve as a freeway for a lot of pipelines traveling through.
In December of 2011, Rosendahl and Skolnick addressed members of the Public Utilities Commission to talk about their long-term plans to replace the types of pipeline more likely to fail.
Our vision, the perfect view, if you will, is that we know the integrity of every inch of pipe in Minnesota, that we know that pipe is operated safely.
That vision is what makes MNOPS so important. A second set of eyes, an over-the-shoulder safety advocate. Because when gas lines explode, hometowns are in danger.
You know, I know what's important to a community in terms of not disrupting the normal daily life of everybody going about their business, and certainly some of these accidents can disrupt that. And then even going more basic as a citizen of Minnesota, I'm very glad to know that it's a good program, and we're keeping it in the pipe for the most part, and we've got a good record here in Minnesota.